Now then, how are you? Welcome to the Cattlegrid podcast with me, Phil Bennett, and today we're lucky enough to have football royalty. We usually have a few rugby players on here, but you know I'm a mad Leeds fan, and today we've been given an opportunity to do a podcast with an absolute Leeds legend that we're lucky to have here today, and I just want to start by thanking you so much for giving a small guy like me an opportunity of somebody of your profile. Thanks for coming, Don.
Pleasure, Phil.
How's life?
Life's all right, mate. Yeah, I'm cracking on. It's good to see you, first and foremost. Thanks for having me on.
No, mate,
it's great for me
pleasure.
No, it's great. Thanks. For me at the moment, just good to be out speaking with people, doing stuff, and getting back into the the world that we've all been involved in. It's been a tough year for everyone, hasn't it, or more than a year. So for me, thanks for giving me the opportunity today, mate.
No, it's honestly, when we got in touch and found out that we could get you on, I was absolutely over the moon. Massive Leeds United fan myself, and obviously you've been poorly.
Yeah.
So it's a real bonus that we can get you on here,
Yeah.
and I'm so pleased for you that you're winning the war. How is things on that front? Are you feeling?
Yeah, it's kind of is what it is. I know that's one of those sayings that people say. I've been waiting for 4 weeks now for my scan results. Still haven't got them, but I understand that the NHS and they're trying their best. It's just everything's behind at the moment. So for me, I've got a good mindset at the moment. I'm in a good place, good position in my head. So I'm positive about everything at the moment. And even doing this, usually over the last year or so, I've felt a bit scared to maybe come out and do this kind of stuff. But I think it's important that I do, and I do speak and I do tell people what I've been up to and where I'm at with my journey, because it's important. My journey is going to be a legacy for a lot of other people and who need support, just like I've had. There's a lot of people like myself on the same journey, and I just want to be around to help them as well. And also, it's important for me as well that I'm doing stuff like this, talking about stuff is so important. We don't talk enough. I know you're a good talker. I'm probably a good talker, as you'll find out. We like talking, and it's important that we do talk and we do get some things across. So, for me, any kind of chat is good chat at the minute, because I don't see anyone at the minute. I've been out the way, where I live in the middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere, in isolation. You must get on well with your wife, because there won't be much else to talk about.
No, and you're spot on. That's true. We don't really fall out. We all have our little, now and again you have the odd row, but nothing major. We're pretty solid as a family. We stick together, and you have to, especially with what I've been through. At the end of the day, the missus, wife Jess, and my little boy Luke, and the 2 girls, Louisa and Ellen, they've been my rock, and they're the ones who've got me through this. And I have to say that, because without them, I'm nothing. And that's, I've realised myself personally that there is more important things than maybe football or other things. It's important that my kids and my wife are happy, and I'm trying to do my part now, because I've had a lot of time off recovering, and I still am, and I'm still waiting on results at the minute. But it's important that I still let them live their life as well, and let them grow as well as kids, or as and being a dad again.
Yeah.
I kind of lost that a little bit, because I had to get myself right. So now being a dad again is the best gift anyone can ever give you. And I always say to people, don't neglect that time you have with them kids, because it's precious. And when you've been through this process that I'm still going through, call it a process, call it whatever you want, this illness I've had, it's important that the kids see the dad do well. It gives them a lift. When my daughter was asking me about my scan earlier today, I said, I'm doing fine. Don't worry about it. Well, how come you've not heard? Because I haven't. Don't you worry about me, though, because that's the kind of side that you've got to show as a father. You've got to show that strength around them, because they're worried about you. And for me, that's what I do. I show them strength. And if they can bring that into their world, into their lives, I'm doing a good job.
Yeah, I was a little bit, I won't say nervous. Yeah, I was probably a bit nervous today. Don Matteo's big news for doing a podcast for somebody like me. I went and come and picked you up today. You put me straight at rest. You can tell you were actually glad to speak to somebody else. And it's been great having an hour with you. And, I always say on stuff like this, when I get high-profile people, I don't play poker face, you know what I mean? I'm a fan. I'm a big Leeds fan. And I wanted to take you back to, obviously, you started at Liverpool.
Yeah.
One thing that intrigues me that I don't think you're seeing many footballers, especially while you've been poorly, and obviously I've been watching a lot of stuff on social media and stuff, you're actually really, really well liked and loved by two teams. And that isn't something that happens very often, in my opinion. Liverpool fans, and I know for a fact Leeds fans think the absolute world of you. So,
you know what? I was overwhelmed with the support I had around my illness. I never even thought anyone liked me. That's the truth. Everyone will say, "Oh, you must have thought, with football and at Leeds or Liverpool, people would be all." It wasn't like that for me. I was just so happy to have played for them clubs, and then the support I've had after the illness happened, after my brain tumour, it's been overwhelming. And them people who sent me them messages, you included, everyone who's been supporting me around that, I can't thank you enough, because it's little messages that make the difference for you. It's like them small percentages in life are the important ones, and the lads who've helped me out, I've mentioned to you, Phil, my mate Jason, my mate Shorty, lads that people that have been around for me. We're in the hospital, them hard yards when I'm sat there, no one to speak to, I'm dosed up on so much, so many tablets and I couldn't sleep. It's literally, that was the hardest bit of it, being honest. I couldn't sleep. I was basically awake for a month because of the medication I was taking was so strong to get the tumour size down to start with. That was the big thing. But just the support I've had around me from Liverpool, Leeds, and my friends and my family, it's just incredible. And I generally, for a humble lad like myself, and that's the truth, I never knew I had that many people who like me. To be honest, I just go about my own. I've always been that kind of person. I like people, I like being around people, and the support I've had over this. When someone like Kenny Dalglish sends you a message of support, for me, he's the king. And then on the other side of that, you've got Eddie Gray sending me a message or coming to see me in the hospital. Eddie Gray was actually the first person to come and see me in hospital. And I knew he would be. You know what he's like? He likes to challenge Eddie, doesn't he? I'll be there first. And he was, closely followed by David O'Leary. So it was kind of like a revolving door for these people who've supported me all the way through it. And then it was funny because then when David left, Steve McManaman came in. So that was the Liverpool connection then. And played with Steve for a lot of years and grew up with Stevie Mac right throughout his career. And obviously what a career he had, Champions Leagues a lot. But, it didn't matter. He was my mate. He came to see me. And the same with David and the same with everyone else who came to see me. It was like, it's just two guys having a chat. But obviously when you needed that chat or that inspiration, I always find someone like Eddie Gray, David O'Leary, Steve McManaman, Kenny Dalglish, as I mentioned, and lots of others, Robbie Fowler, one of my best mates who I grew up with, and is still really close to this day. They're the ones that inspire me. I like people who've got something about them as well. So it's not just about their football skills, actually good people as well. And that's what now I'm surrounding myself with, is them good people.
I can't understand why you don't think people like you so much, because I've never known anybody score only 3 or 4 goals for Leeds and they still sing about one of them now.
I don't know the answer to that. But let's be honest, it was a great night, that one you're talking about.
He's got about 3 or 4 goals in all them games and they still sing about one.
And to me, it does astonish me that.
Leeds fans love you, mate.
The thing with me, I straight away when I left for Leeds from Liverpool, I had a connection with the Leeds fans instantly, and I can only thank Eddie Gray for this, and some of the older coaches at Leeds at that point, because they told me what it means to play for Leeds United. I've been growing up in Liverpool constantly, so it was all Liverpool, Liverpool, Liverpool. People like Eddie, especially, taught me about Leeds, the morals and all the things that you need to know about Leeds United and what it means to play for that shirt, that white shirt. It's massive. And I embraced that. When Eddie told me all these little things, I really listened to what he said, because I thought it was so important to have them values that, just because I've been at Liverpool means nothing. Now I'm at Leeds now, it changes. And my whole way of thinking changed then. I was like, right, you know what? I was at Liverpool for all them years. It was great, I loved it. But now it's time for the next chapter. And you need that first conversation with someone like Eddie, who's still a great friend to this day. And I think he's helped so many other players in that same position. Legend. Transition. He's a legend. That's one word you can't. I don't call myself a legend because I'm not. But someone like Eddie Gray is. Kay Dalglish, these people are iconic figures, and I love them. And anything about them's on TV or I watch them. I levitate towards these people. I do. I levitate to the greats. Just lost a great in Maradona not so long back. I levitate to watching stuff about these people because I'm in awe of them. When I play against them top players, sometimes I'm like, wow, I played against him, and I'm like, I did all right against him as well. Sometimes I didn't. Sometimes they got the better of me, but I do levitate towards these legends of the game because they're so inspirational for me, and I wish I was as good as them as a player. But I held my own at certain times. But I love talking football, especially about that type of person, as we mentioned, Eddie Gray, and people at Liverpool, Dalglish, the Fowlers, the McManamans. At Leeds, we've got a long list, and we've lost so many as well over the last few years. As you know yourself, Phil, as being a Leeds fan, we've lost a lot of them legends that will never be replaced, and they can't be because they were that iconic. No. They were that iconic for Leeds United that they're missed. I'm hoping we do something big for them, when we get out of lockdown, and we can really remember those legends properly because I think they deserve that, and I'm sure the club will have something in motion for that because they deserve something, I think.
Yeah, Leeds United, when I was growing up, I could do more or less all that I want. I could have supported Unsley. I'm a rugby man. I like rugby league. I don't deny it.
Yeah.
But the thing that I have never, ever been given an inch on by my dad, I could have supported who I wanted at rugby and I could do all I wanted. But I could not support Leeds United. I've been a mascot and it is passionate. And I remember, the European nights. I remember the journey that we were on. Great, fantastic times, obviously, come to a real tragic end in financial situation Leeds got themselves in.
Yeah.
But one of the questions I wanted to ask you today, is it true that when it come to leaving Leeds that you more or less wavered a load of money as long as club would go all right?
Yeah, that's true. That is a true story. There's not many true stories about nowadays because you don't know.
No, but you know why? Because people like to focus on people's negatives, but there's a lot of positives in life, and I don't ever want to talk about negatives, but somebody once told me, and I've been with you for probably 2 hours so far today, and I wanted to ask you on camera live, and this ain't no bullshit. Is it true that you let them off so Leeds could try and get through a bad time so you could get some?
Yeah, kind of what happened was I was on a decent wage at Leeds. There's no two ways about it. I was on better money at Leeds. Yeah, everyone was. I couldn't believe some of the wages. So I don't even know what they're on, but they're on a lot more than what I was, believe me. But that's not important. But what was important for me when I left Leeds, they told me I couldn't stay. I tried to stay. They wouldn't let that happen. And I probably wasn't one of the best earners at that point. So anyway, what happened was Blackburn had come to me. I think there was an interest from Arsenal as well, but Blackburn was the one. Obviously, I knew Graham Souness. I played under him at Liverpool as well. Souness always tried to sign me wherever he went. Graham liked the way I played and the way I tried to play, and I could play in a few positions, which a lot of managers liked. Someone who could versatile, someone who was versatile. So I think when I had the opportunity from Blackburn, it was I think the wages for me was secondary because yes, I probably did waver quite a few bob, well more than a few bob. But I think what I want to try and get across with speaking to you from this is that Leeds made it easy for me to leave, and Blackburn made it easy. So the wages I was on at Blackburn were probably covered the uplift of what I got at Blackburn and what I lost at Leeds. So basically, I did waver a lot of the money because I was getting another good move to Blackburn from Leeds. So in a way, that's the truth because they probably would have owed me a couple of £1 million, somewhere around that figure. I don't know the exact figures. Somebody else in the finance at Leeds might know. But I was getting a good move anyway. So I thought to myself, well, if I don't need that and I'm getting a good contract at Blackburn, then I'm happy. And that's kind of how it went. But I think that maybe happened with a few other players as well. I'm not sure because I'm sure Mark Viduka might have done something like that, and I'm sure maybe Lucas did as well, who were high earners obviously throughout their period at the club because they were iconic players. But I think a few of them did waver some money as well, and I did, and I'm proud to say that. I think people are at different positions in their life, and sometimes they might be on the last contract, so it's a different situation for them than it was for me. I was 30 when I went to Blackburn, so in my head I still had a good capacity to earn. So it wasn't just about the financial decision. Although people said to me I should have looked more into that and maybe not give more money away. I should have taken it. A lot of my mates have said that to me. A lot of people, a lot of advisors have said to me, you should have took the money when you left. But I was happy with what I got. So I took that, and that's the way it is. And some players probably didn't. Some people wanted all the money paid up before they left. But I was happy with my deal I did. I got a bit of money out of it. Maybe not as much as what I should have got, but I was happy. And I think sometimes there's something about that. Doing the right thing. As I've always thought I have throughout my football career with the financial side of it. I've always tried to do the right thing. I never wanted too much money for my wages. I wasn't one of the highest paid players at the club. People thought I was, but I wasn't. I moved up the pecking order a little bit as I got better and I was getting more games and playing more regular. But that was deserved, because if you're becoming a regular in a good side like Leeds United were, then you do deserve a little bit of a reward.
Of course you do.
But it was never about the money for me. That's the truth. I've never ever done anything for money in life. Even to this day in life, people know what I'm like. I'll still give someone a quid if I've got nothing. That's just the way I am, but I can't help the person I am. And I've seen throughout as we talked about earlier, about my illness and stuff, it really made me think about life. And yeah, I've had the trappings that go with with money and fame in football, but it didn't really mean nothing to me. I'll be honest with you, it didn't. My health is a million times more important. And I think you have to be in a position like I've been in to understand that sometimes, because I don't worry about anything now. I don't. My health's number one, and my number one priority is the kids.
That's totally understandable, isn't it? When you've been through what you've gone through, and I know everybody, all Leeds United fans and Liverpool, and I'm sure football in general. Yeah. I for them who don't really understand, when Dom were taken poorly, I'd booked him for a sportsman's afternoon at Morley Town Hall. Yeah. Some of that were sold out. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. But, it was sold out. People at Morley absolutely adore. It's Leeds United mad is Morley, so they were clambering for tickets. Obviously, what happened with Dom. Yeah. And I can remember a few of us having a bit of a conversation, and somebody were like, "Well, who are we going to get?" And I can remember me, and I'm a bit like you. I like to earn money, and I try my best to put myself out there, but I'm one of the lads, and I like, what? How can we possibly get somebody else? The man's fighting for his life. Yeah. Imagine his mum, his dad, his wife, his kids. Yeah. Oh, Dom, I says, and I'll tell you something else. There'll be a fair few Leeds United fans who won't like it either. Yeah. Man's fighting for his life. Yeah. You've cancelled his show, and you want to get somebody else. Refund them all immediately. Yeah. And there were I think I'll tell you the truth, about 200 tickets. I think there were 2 that were like, "Oh, we wanted to do something," but that's just absurd. There were no way whatsoever that event could have gone ahead in them circumstances. Yeah. But testimony to support you had, because that, Yeah, and I think when you've got that kind of support, and I didn't realise that, and that's the truth, and as I mentioned earlier, but when you have that, it gives me the boost I've had from hearing stuff like that, and like what you just said to me there, it boosts me that. And any little, like you say, that's knowing that you've had that support around you, and I have, without knowing it, is amazing. It's a good feeling that. You have. Something, honestly, I've never known a player who wasn't Ronaldo and want the goal scorer and want the most elaborate and this and other. And you won't believe the amount of real respect that, because I think you like one-up lads. Yeah. Lads. I was lucky to play football. I always say it. I worked hard to get where I got to. And the thing is with me is that I always had the respect for people. And I think respect's a massive thing that any kids can learn from respect. It doesn't matter how good you are or how talented you are. Respect is massive. I don't ever swear in front of my mum and dad. I don't do stuff like that. I've learned that way. You've got to have respect in everything you do. And for me, respect is the biggest thing. Respect. If you haven't got respect, I don't think you've got any chance to achieve stuff. You've got to respect. And the one thing I'd say I didn't respect at times was probably the financial side of it. Probably because I wasn't into it. I wasn't into all that stuff, but I made mistakes.
But we all make mistakes. And for me now, it's like I'm not trying to right all the wrongs that I did, but I've got an opportunity again now because I'm alive, and I'm going to do the best I can by making myself better and also making my kids and my wife proud of me again. Not that they're not proud of me, because I want my kids to see me not as an inspirational person, which some people will say that side of you just comes naturally to me. But I try and inspire people now, and that is the biggest thing I can give to someone is the time. And if I can inspire one person, that's massive. You know, you don't realise what, you know, sometimes I have a little conversation with someone who's maybe living with cancer or living with an illness. Just that one conversation with somebody, sending them a message, sending them a little voice note or something. I tell you what, it doesn't half lift people. And I don't know half of these people, but they're there for me and they're sending me messages, so I'll reply to as many as I can. Jess will tell you, my wife, I can't get through all of them because there's that many. And we are going through them. And, you know, I get messages every single day, and if I can help somebody, I will. And even financially, I mean, me and Jess, you know, we're not blessed with money, but I tell you what, if it's a case of throwing in 50 quid, 40 quid or something for a little charity do, we're all for it. We'll help anyone we can. And I think that's what I've learned of late, and especially through lockdown, is that if you can help somebody, be kind, be nice to people. We've had a lot, we've all been through it. You've been through it, Phil. You know what it's like. You're talking about yourself, you know, things were hard at one point and it picked up again. Great, that's amazing. It's a good story, it's positive. But there's many a person or many people who've fell away. And it's having that positivity. And fair play to yourself, mate. You've shown positivity by getting through what you got through. And I tell you what, you'll grow from that.
Yeah, well,
because that adversity you're in, you know, it might change your life. That
I think good always shines through, and like
it does.
You know, people. You know, let's be honest. It's been well documented about financial and bit of booze and addiction and stuff. And I know you're not shy about. Yeah. I'm not being rude by saying that to him because I've asked him before if it's all right to say it. But it's very, very easy to focus on people's negatives.
Of course.
And like when you are a young man with tons and tons and tons of money and so much fame, you know, some of people are quick to shoot people down like that. It's like, well, could you have done it? I'll tell
you true. This is true stories. This is Leeds, where I think people like me a little bit, maybe.
Okay.
But obviously, when I went to Leeds a few times, I could hear people talking, and I was like, because you know, I'm a switched on person. No matter what's going on, I could hear people saying in Leeds and all these different areas, look at this ex-footballer, Don Matteo, skint. They don't know me. No. He's bankrupt. He's this, that, and the other. This is lads that I kind of knew talking like this about me.
Kids who you're buying beers for.
Kids that I've sponsored and looked after and done all these stuff for. This is how this is how they were talking about me. And you know what? I let it go. I did let it go because I know that these people aren't important. They are what they are. And they get found out in the end, these people. And they're still getting found out to this day. But they ain't in my life anymore. But when I was hearing things like that, oh, this bankrupt, this footballer, he should have had. I had bad advice, simple as that. That's the truth. I had bad advice. And there were situations, it wasn't down to me gambling or drinking or whatever it was. It was down to a financial decision that someone made the wrong call for me. And I was involved in that myself. And I couldn't get out of it. That's why I had to go bankrupt. You know, and these people who want to bring you down, they're bringing you down because they've got nothing better to talk about. And these people are out of my life now. Listen, I care for everyone, simple as that. But they don't have the chat. I don't have the conversations that I used to have with them because they know what they did was wrong, 1,000,000%. And who would slag it? I wouldn't slag anyone off for becoming bankrupt or having a financial problem. Why would you think that was a good thing? People think that it's funny. It's not funny.
No, it's not.
I've got 3 kids to support and look after. I've got a wife. You know, and when your kids are hearing there's bankruptcy, you know, because at the end of the day, when you're in that social media world now, my daughters both had to go through, you know, hearing about what's happened to my dad in hospital, you know, being ill, you know, which was so hard, you know, for my daughters to be so worried about me. Lucas was too young to understand. He does a bit now, he knows a little bit, but I have to protect my kids. And people are out there still slagging me off, and I'm fighting for my life. That's what it's like. And we have to get rid of these people out of this social networking world, because they're the people that bring sadness, and they don't want to better themselves. They'd rather slag somebody else off. And nowadays, I've got the way I'm thinking nowadays. I'm not letting that happen again. I'm not letting people walk over me again. I know I could never see those people for what they were. I just liked everyone. Now I understand what was going on, and some of my really close mates, as I've mentioned before, and some of the other lads I've not mentioned. My big mate Loz, I've not mentioned, who one of the best mates of all time. Him, Jay, Shorty, them people that all know me, Stanley, all these lads, Lighty, all those people that support me. These are the people I should have stayed and knocked about with. But you end up, you get into these circles where you're knocking about people you don't even know. They're not bothered. All they want is a pound note or a drink off you. And it's about getting that right. And I got it wrong for a while. And I'm openly admit that. The financial side of it wasn't down to me. It was down to bad decisions made by financial advisors. People say I lost all this money gambling. When I've added it all up, believe me, I have. Because, when I was switched on and my brain wasn't as bad as it is now, I looked at all them figures. Yeah, I like to bet. I don't do it anymore. But when I like to bet, I had a big bet. But when I had them up, I didn't really lose that much, to be honest. I lost a little bit, but nothing that would have really tipped me over the edge like a bankruptcy. It was the financial decisions.
Yeah, because forgive me for putting in.
No, it's fine.
You've been a very, very, very wealthy man. It's not a few effing bets that that flatten a man of your means. I mean, it's none of my business.
Yeah.
But let's face it, you won't just had a few quid. Do you know what I mean? No. That's a few bets flatten somebody like me, not you. So financial advice and people are always quick to just have a go. But I think the positives from I don't like talking about negative things too much because you always get some shit out. So say, he liked to drink. He liked to do this in town. He went net. But the top and bottom of it is, you've come through it. You've had an illness, and you've come through that as well. And something I honestly believe that, I believe in karma and stuff like that. I don't think big man upstairs will let you through it if you're a bad person. So
it's funny because for me, it's like I had a few moments in the hospital where it felt like I was looking down on everything. And I talk about this quite a lot now when I speak to people. They're like, "What do you mean?" It's like, and it sounds daft saying it. It felt like it's like an out-of-body experience where you kind of look down on stuff and you can see it's like you can see the operation going on and you're in it. And it's like you're fighting for your life and you're holding on. It's a funny feeling. But I've spoke to a few people who've been in the same position and they had the same vivid kind of memory of it. It's not something I go, oh, boy, I remember that. It's like very vivid, but I know it happened in my head because you're fighting for your life and it feels like someone's pulling you one way and you're pulling the other to try and stay alive. And it's like you're either going one way or the other. Luckily for me, I had enough inside the locker to push me forward. And I do believe in stuff like that. And you're right when I talk about karma. Karma's a massive thing. And what goes around comes around in life. It's true. And I won't wish any bad on anyone because I wouldn't. That's the God's honest truth. No matter what someone's treated me, I'd never want that to anyone. What happened to me? It's the truth, 1,000,000%. It was horrible. But I do believe in that someone out there was looking out for me. There was someone looking up for me. I lost my brother a couple of years ago. I lost my sister, when she died as a baby. So we've had a lot of tough times as a family. And that, for me, I think my sister, God bless her, we call her an angel, my brother Victor, who passed away a couple of years ago. It's like, I think they look down on me and it's like, they're like angels and they look out for me now. And I mean that. They shouldn't have passed away either, but they did. And I always see them as my garden angels. And it's like, I do believe in stuff like that. I never used to, and that's the truth. But then it takes something like this to really appreciate what you have. I should have more family members. No two ways, I've lost them. They're still here in my head, but I've lost them. And that's tough. And it's credit to my mum and dad who brought me up. They've been through a lot. To lose 2 kids, I can't even think of it happening.
You can't do that again.
I can't put anyone else through this. So for me, I'm more determined than most not to let my kids feel that again, or my mum and dad to go through it again. Because at one point, Jess will tell you that they didn't think I was going to get through it. You know, and you have to have them conversations. And for my mum and dad at 82 to be hearing that, it must have been overwhelming. And I think they really struggled. Now they see me up and about, doing well, you know, going out for a walk every day. I never neglect my training. Can't do what I used to, but the walking side of it for me is so important. I never thought I'd be going for a walk. Nice walk down the, you know, down the hill and having a chat with people. But that's the way it is now. I actually quite enjoy it. As long as I can bump into someone and have a bit of a chat, I'll keep doing it. And that's one of the reasons I think I'm still here, is because I've still got a little bit of a fitness base. I think if I'd have been living the life what I was living 7-8 years ago, I don't think I'd be here. I made the changes for me again at the right times. You know, big, massive drinker, partying with the boys. That takes people one way, I think, if you've got a bad illness. So luckily, I was kind of out of that, not completely, I've got to be honest, but I wasn't as drinking as much, and that for me was more my nemesis, because I love to drink. That's the truth. It was the one thing I really enjoyed. I like the taste of it. I like the smell of it. It's like,
you can tell you're a social person anyway.
Yeah, and you know, and now I've had to adapt to being Dom, who has a couple of beers. You know, me and you'll have a couple of beers later, and I'm looking forward to that, because you know what, I can, but I just can't have 20 like I used to, or 40. But you know what, I'm happy with that. You know, I've had a little coffee there, I've got my water.
Got a chance, haven't you? Yeah, and that's the main thing.
And that's the most important thing, Phil. You've got to remember what's important. I got my eye off the ball for that for a while. I forgot what was important. That will never happen again to me. I'll never ever forget what was important to me, and the people who've supported me around that, 1,000,000%.
What's the future hold? What's your, after you've been through what you've been through, and after you've done what you've done in your career, which, let's face it, were pretty bloody good. I mean, you're a fantastic footballer. You played against some of the greats and held your own more than most, and European nights. What's future hold for you?
The future for me, you know, love to be back involved in the football world again. I'm hoping something comes up soon, and that would be the best thing for me, working back in football, and helping young players. I think I've got a bit of, not a skill for it, but I love seeing young players develop and improve, and you know, speaking to young footballers. And you know, I'm starting my foundation ahead of the game with a lad from Liverpool, Dave Bolton, who's a cancer survivor with a very similar illness to myself, and we've started a foundation. First thing we're going to do is we're going to try and get, you know, the 4G pitch up probably in Liverpool, the first one, and then we'll look to expand it into different cities. So I've got a few things going on, and with a lot of support around other people as well, because you need the support when you're starting foundations and stuff, because you know, the money doesn't grow on trees, and you've got to keep fundraising and stuff, and that's what we're doing at the moment. And I think with the people I know and the people Dave knows as well, we'll have support, but also you've got to put the hard yards in as well. Nothing, I know in life now, you get nothing for free. You've got to get your head down and get on with it and work hard. Just like yourself, where you talked about, you know, you were struggling for a while. Now look at you, you're back doing well again. Yeah. But you know it can be taken away again. So you don't want that, do you?
For granted again.
That's it. No. Even yourself, Phil, you know, you've said that to me earlier.
Your head down.
You get your head down, you get on with it, and if the adversity comes, you find a way. And we talk about this a lot in survival, is you find a way to get through this situation. In the moment, I'm finding a way. Like I mentioned, I'm waiting on scan results. Am I anxious? A little bit, that's the truth. But I'm strong, my mindset's strong. I feel good, I feel healthy. If I didn't feel good, I didn't feel healthy, I wouldn't be having this conversation. I'll be at home rested, but I feel good. And when you get the opportunity to do this, do it. Take it on, go for it. You know, and don't let anything hold you back. That's what I do anymore. I was being a bit too nice, and things are holding me back. I'm a different person now. I'm a different animal. I want to do better. I want to succeed. People might say, oh, you've done plenty already. I haven't done enough yet. And the biggest gift I can give is time and helping people. And I think that's my way forward with a lot of things. And I'm going to, like I say, I'm going to be involved with the Leeds Teaching Hospital. They've asked me to be an ambassador. So hopefully that can happen. And I'd be so proud to be an ambassador for that. And also other things as well within the city. Brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. Do you reckon we could do that sportsman's dinner one day?
Do you know what? And it's funny you should say that. Now, because
that would be a nice story.
Of course it would, and I think we can. And I want to do more stuff like that. And like you say, every time I do something like that, a little bit will be going to my foundation that we need to grow and we need to improve upon. And I think, I know people have got foundations all over the place, but this is something that's close to my heart. The Brain Tumour Society as well, another side of it, we give to them every month now, and the family do, because you do, don't you? And it's like, I think in Leeds, because that's where I had my treatment, my respect for Leeds and the hospitals, Jimmy's and LGI, are incredible hospitals, and we're very fortunate to have them. And we've got to support these people and the nurses. I mean, look at the nurses. I'm sitting here as an ex-footballer, earn plenty of money. These nurses are putting the shift in every single day, non-stop, especially what it's been like through COVID. It must have been horrendous of what they've had to go through and see. We need to be getting behind these people and helping them, giving them better wages, get the salaries right. I know it's difficult, and everyone might say, oh, he's just saying it. I'm not, I honestly mean it, because these people are the ones, if they ask me to do anything in Leeds for the hospital, money comes out, I'm not bothered about the money. Of course I'm doing it because I want to help the people of Leeds. They help me, and they still do to this day. And we have to really understand that the jobs they do. I had the girls who come to look after me in the hospital, might be 3-4 in the morning, and they'd be up chatting to me, do you want a tea, do you want a coffee? That duty of care, I'll never forget that. And when I can get into the hospital and say thank you to the nurses who did do that for me, I will be there like a shot, and I'll be like that. And I'll try and stay in touch with as many as I can, because it's so important to have that connection with the hospital as well, because they need support as well. These nurses, they don't earn a lot of money, but I tell you what, they work hard for it, and they deserve more.
I'll tell you what we'll do, right? When you get into them, and this is a promise, I promise you, I'm a bit like you, I'm a nice lad.
Yeah.
Get 10 of the names and addresses, and I'll send 10 of them a nice meat pack for you.
Brilliant.
Promise you.
Yeah, and that's what...
I promise you I will.
Yeah,
and
I know you will.
And
But the other thing is, Phil, that's what it's all about. That life's like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Help each other. Help each other along the journey. And, and if anyone needs it, it's them. They need a bit of support. A nice bit of meat will help them out.
Nice little bit of meat. I promise you, get them 10 of the names and addresses, them nurses that looked after you.
Yeah.
And I promise you, on my dad's grave, I'll send them a pack for you.
That's amazing. And again, that's what we should all be doing. These are the real heroes, not me.
Because I'm on the verge of because we've got 4 butcher shops, but we're working on this affiliate code scheme, which absolutely, no doubt whatsoever, is about helping me grow my business and try. But say we're going to do this club to club scheme where for every £100 spent, if your kids played at, I don't know, Beeston Juniors. Yeah. Beeston Junior, if you put in Beeston Juniors 1, the club will get £5 out of every 100 that's kicked back. So basically, we're asking parents, if you buy meat and you like good meat, buy it off us, we'll give a kickback to the club. But we could do something like that with a 10% back to your foundation. Yeah. Because I need to grow my business. There's no doubt about it. I don't want anybody out there thinking, it's just, no, because I'm going to earn some money, that's what I work for. Of course. But I like to grow my network and try to get, let's face it, people like you've got a big network and you've probably helped me on my way, but I'll give something back.
But the thing is, Phil, as well, it's about the quality as well of the meat. I know, and I know a lot of people talk about your meat and stuff, and meat, talk about your meat. Hey. That big bit of meat of yours. Anyway, that's important that the quality's right. Yeah. So you want the good meat, as they say.
He likes
it. Stop saying that.
I'll tell you who likes it. Who really speaks highly of you, and he's like one of my childhood heroes. I told you, a rugby man, Bobby Goulding. Oh God. We supply Bobby with meat. He's a good man.
He can put it away as well, can't he? He can eat. Yeah. I think people like Bob as well go under the radar again. Does a lot for charity. Helps a lot of people. Top guy. One of my best pals.
Could ring him now, and if you're in trouble, he'd be here.
He'd be straight here. He'd be here before you even know it. If we rung him now, he'd be here. If he knew we were doing this, he'd be here. And I think, again, Bob's been through a lot, hasn't he? As you know. But I tell you what,
spoke very, very highly of you.
He's come out the other side, and it's great to see that because, I know his wife and stuff, and they're just a great family. They've had a little grandson, I think, as well.
He loves them.
I can imagine the protection he gives them. I mean,
if anybody did all wrong, let me kill him.
And that's what I mean. He's just a lovely guy, and I think that's the one thing from sometimes the adversity. I've made a lot of good friends, And even yourself, mate, I've only met you a few times, but I know we can grow a friendship through this and grow a business, and hopefully your business kicks off and you do well. And that's the main thing, because what you've said there, people go, oh, yeah, of course we all want to make a few quid.
Nobody wants for no.
But the thing is, if it helps someone and gets someone, 5%, them pennies make a difference sometimes. But I also want to go back to the meat. If it's right, I'm having it, because it's better. Sometimes we get this meat, it's rubbish, isn't it? No disrespect to these big companies. Some of it's rubbish, and it's not doing you any good.
Yeah.
It's all this processed stuff all the time. It's not as good. You need the proper stuff, and that's what you can bring from that side.
That's all we'll try and do. It's all about growing the network, growing the business.
And helping a few along the way.
Helping a few along the way. There's no doubt about it. This club-to-club scheme for me could be really, really, really good. And I think we can get some ambassadors, people like yourself, people like Jason Robinson, MBE, World Cup winner. He's already said to me, I'll help you, Phil, no problem. Because I think sometimes as well, it's just a good thing to give a bit back for like, see,
I think you're right. And like people like Jason Robinson, I've seen him on TV, I think it was the other day, talking about kids football, or kids rugby, sorry. And he was very passionate about that. I don't know what he's actually doing in the world of the rugby league now, or is it rugby union he's working with?
He's in a bit of both. Jason Robinson's just a great ambassador for youth rugby, whether it be league or union, and he's just an all-round good guy in him. I've watched him play. Was he at Wigan? Was he? He was at Wigan, and then obviously
that's where I probably watched him, because I used to go to Wigan quite a lot. Me and Robbie Fowler and Razor Ruddock used to go to Wigan a lot. And honestly, I ain't joking. We did loads of stuff there. We did the draw there. When it comes to like picking somebody out of the draw, me and Robbie Fowler and Razor Ruddock were doing the draws and stuff. I was actually sponsored by Nissan, and the guy was a massive Wigan fan. He was a getaway driver actually, apparently in real life. That was his job. But he took us all over the place, and we had some great time. And I've had so many nights out. Trying to think of the pub that we used to go to in St Helens. It was a brilliant place, but on a Sunday night, 3 a.m, you could still get a drink. And they're the kind of places I loved. And,
when Leeds play Wigan at Headingley, I'll get my mates to get some tickets and we'll go.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, because it's sport, and at the end of the day, again, supporting the local areas as well. And the thing about rugby league is it's quite close, isn't it? Everything's quite close. I know they've got the Catalan.
Yeah,
but in the main, you've got a lot.
M62 canal.
That's it. That's right. And we can all, I think there's a lot more footballers like rugby league as well. They talk about it and they watch it.
Wayne Rooney used to has been at Rhinos before. Gareth Southgate goes watch them as well. But it's like profile of football compared to rugby league. It's totally different.
But it shouldn't be. And I understand what you're saying, but these guys put some shift in doing what they're doing. They put the bodies, on the line every time they go out there. I mean, so do the footballers, but I don't think I'd say the footballers maybe are not quite at that level, because I've seen them hits that the boys take, and it's tough. It's tough to watch sometimes.
Tough lads.
They're tough as nails, and they seem to bounce back and get on with it.
Who's the toughest footballer you played against?
I tell you, me and him didn't really get on that much. It was Mark Hughes. Hughes was a tough player to play against. And he'd give you straight away. You knew you were getting something. But in a way, I didn't mind it. In a way, it was kind of like, all right, well, I'm up for it as well. And then I think the crazy gang at Wimbledon were always a tough lot to play against. Jonesy and trying to think of the other lads, but there was loads, wasn't there? Fashion.
Is it Hartford?
No, Mick Hartford. You don't want to play against Big Mick.
He would have been some bloke.
I wouldn't want to fight him. Not a chance. You hear all the stories about him, Billy Whitehurst, all these boys. These are proper hard men.
Yeah.
Jimmy Case, all them lot. You don't mess with these boys. They're proper footballers. They can play the game, but they can put a foot in when they needed it. And I think that's the one thing football misses them characters. And I know nowadays it's a bit PC, isn't it? And in a way that's good. But for me, there's nothing like a bit of a character. That's the one thing I wish that there was more of. I played with so many characters in the football world that, some of the stories them lads could tell you. It's unbelievable.
With David Batty up there.
Bats was quite quiet, but I'm sure he had his years in Leeds, causing a bit of havoc. But yeah, I think it's the late Gary Speed. I think him and Bats were good mates, weren't they? And they probably had some great nights out together. Obviously, we don't see much of Bats. He's a very personal guy, keeps himself to himself. But again, I always say about David Batty, one of the best players I played with. Made my job easy.
Yeah.
He just swept things up, tidied it away. Probably wasn't even a massive football fan. I don't know these ins and outs of it, but he was into his bikes, wasn't he? Just like Alan Smith.
I did a podcast with Tony Dorigo when I first started doing this. I mean, and to get Dorigo here, you know, from championship team, were amazing. And like me being me, big mouth, like, tell you what, you couldn't get us back, could you? You know, like when we were having a talk afterwards, he went, "Are you joking? You have more chance of knitting fogs on." He said, "He won't ever do all like this."
The thing is, as well, the Bats, he's a brilliant fella. He's a top guy. He was always up to something. He liked his pranks. I mean, the footballers always renowned for the pranks. Bats was, because sometimes he had a lot of injuries, he had a lot of time on his hands to be waiting to do something to you while you were training. Him and Jason Wilcox at that point, they were funny guys, and they're older senior pros, won a lot of stuff, but they always had something up the sleeve waiting for you, a few tricks, you know. And I kind of miss that. Them eras, you'll never have them eras again. Like the players I played with, you know, at Liverpool and Leeds, they were just unbelievable characters, you know. And if you wanted to go for a pint, then boys would go. Didn't matter what day it was.
Who's the best player you played with?
I'm always a little bit biased on this one. I mean, I can't count Kenny because even though it wasn't an actual game, but Kenny was the best player I've ever seen in football. But I think the best player I played with probably have to be Steven Gerrard, because he can do everything. He can play any position. I seen him play right back one night, and I was playing left mid, I think, because I played left mid a few times. And I was like, "Who is this kid?" I mean, and you obviously knew about him, but he was just levels above everyone else, and everyone else was pretty good at that point, but he was another level, and he had this willingness to win, just like Carragher had. And obviously there's different levels and different types of players, but I mean, these guys would whack you just because they wanted to, and they could get away with it, and they were top players. But Gerrard just had something about him. He's still got an aura about him now, and I think obviously he's won the league at Rangers, and fair play to him, because to break that, you know, it was 9 years I think Celtic had won it on the trot. And
he's a winner, isn't he?
He's a winner, and also he's a good guy. He's a tough guy, but he's a good guy. He's honest and he's fair. And you know, I speak with Stevie a little bit, and he sends me messages, and it means the world to me. But Stevie G was my boot boy. He cleaned my Stevie G. Yeah, Stevie G was. You know, he cleaned my boots at Liverpool, and he always says to me, "I'll never forget that. You used to give me that little 250 quid at Christmas, a little bonus," and he never forgets that. And that's the kind of thing that we all kind of try to do. I remember when I was cleaning, I think he did Alan Hanson's for a bit, which Alan was one of my heroes. I'm trying to think who else boots I did. I think I did. I think of the players, the boots I cleaned. Trying to think of the lads. There was a few. You know what I mean? Alan Hanson was obviously. There was Alan Hanson.
Could have been Jan Molby in that.
Big Jan, big Jan. You know what I mean? Jan was a character.
I once went to Ellen Road with my dad, and Liverpool winning 3-0 at half time. I mean, it were like John Barnesy and Rush, Ray Out and all them lot. They had candy on front of kit.
That's right.
I can remember my dad saying to my dad, "Can we go home?" He's like, "He's going to get 6-0 and I can't watch Leeds getting hammered." Because you never walk out on. You never ever. No. I had to stay no matter what till 90 minutes, no matter what. Yeah. And it didn't matter if they got beat 11-0, which they didn't ever very often. And it finished up being 4-3.
I remember that.
And that's why I can remember. Yeah. Like when she said, because that was that era, they were like Steve Nicol, all that. I can remember Grobbelaar. I'm thinking, wow, what a game.
And the funny thing is, they all sent me messages when I was in hospital, or before that actually happened, but before we knew what the scenario was. The amount of messages, like Stevie Nicol, won everything, legend, great fella, one of the
massive
best
plates to meet him, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, but massive plates to meet. Yeah, he's the biggest feet ever.
Size 30,
his nickname was Bumper. That was his nickname because his feet were that big, and we could never get any boots to fit his feet. But he's a character. And that's what I'm talking about, them kind of players who've done everything, but still have a laugh and a joke. And I miss them lads, you know. And we still speak every now and again. And Nico, he'll ring me occasionally, because obviously he's in America now, working out in America. And he'll just send me something random and just funny. He'll tell me a joke, it's usually a dirty one. And I'll be like, "It's 3 a.m, Nico." "Yeah, I just thought I'd just drop you a line," because obviously he's in America. I mean, we're obviously in the UK, but he's just a funny guy. But I think the one thing I've always learned from all them players is not to think too much about yourself. You know, them lads would never flash around anything. Never. They never talked about money, even though they all had it. They just got about the business, won everything, and never really talked about money. Everyone obviously likes it, but they didn't do that. And I always think that's a real blessing that in that era, that they won everything, but money wasn't the main thing. It was the winning for them boys. And I think nowadays, because of the finances in football, that's changed completely. Because you can be an average player now and earn 100 grand a week. Yeah. And that's the truth. Is that right? For me, no. You should earn your stripes before you can go and before you should be getting that kind of money. But it's just the way it is. And you have to accept it. And I'm not jealous of them all at all. People always say, "Are you jealous of the money you could have earned?" Oh yeah, go and get it. If you can get it, get it. Yeah, why not? You can't look at life like that. I don't see it like that. I've had my time in the football world. I still want to work in the football world, but I know I ain't going to be playing again at the highest level. I wish I could. It's like Stevie Gerrard says when he retired. He always says, I wish I could have another 10 years. And that's the thing in football. It goes like that. And I remember John Barnes and Ian Rush actually saying to me, well, they probably won't remember at that point. I think we all had a few beers, but enjoy it because it'll happen in front of your eyes. Before you know it, your career will be over. So enjoy it while you can. And it's no truer words were said to me than what them two boys said. And it does happen quick. And when it's gone, it's gone. And you miss it like hell. And I do miss it every day. I mean, this is another true story. When I signed for, I'm trying to think when my last club was now, Stoke. When I signed for Stoke, I knew I wasn't going to be playing every week because of my injuries, but it was just like, I was thinking, I'm at the end of my career here. What do I want to get out of this? I couldn't really train too much, but it was just, I still wanted to play. And I was having 2-3 injections before every single game just to get on the football field. And I was like, what am I doing? But it's that summit inside us, which we don't care about how our injuries are. I still suffer now every day with my back and my neck and everything. Still got the injury, but it was my decision to keep going and keep playing. Maybe you should have packed in a few years earlier. And I know that I didn't train too much. That was the side of a lot of it. People didn't know too much. Training for me become a struggle from a certain point where the injuries were really kicking in. Whether that's because I had too many bevies, I don't know. It doesn't help, does it? Let's be honest. I bet you know yourself. If you have a heavy session the next day, it's harder to recover than what it used to be, isn't it? When you're younger, you just bounce off, don't you, and you're back on it.
Well, yeah, but it's not often I train after it. That's all, it don't really matter.
But the funny thing is about football, that football world, is we used to have a drink and then play. Not play, I'm not, I can't talk about it too much, but like that's the other side.
It is what it is. It is what it is, but we can't let you go without asking you what you think is going to happen in Euros. What's that? What's the professionals' prediction?
I think overall they've been excellent. Defensively, they've been outstanding all over the pitch. Pickford's, the goalkeeper's led by example. He seems like he's really up for it, Pickford, this year in this Euros. And I think Southgate's a calming influence. I know at times people have been a bit not critical. I like him, and I think he's a footballing man. He knows the game inside out. He played at the highest level. And I think, for me, he leads by example by the way he talks. You're never going to get Gareth Southgate saying something ridiculous, like a Mourinho would. He just says it kind of how he sees it. He doesn't want the headlines. He obviously wants to win. He thinks he's got a team capable of winning. I think he really believes that. I don't know Gareth personally that well. But I know he's somewhere in Harrogate, isn't he? Probably in that area. Nice. Nesborough being the posh bit.
Where
somewhere.
Robinson lives.
Yeah, all the posh ones live. Not like me. But I think he's a very balanced manager. He's been right the way through the ranks from the 21s, the 18s, all the way through now. And he's tried managing. But I think for England, we've seen a different side to him. Will he get mad at players? I don't know. I don't think you need to in the international level sometimes. Managers don't shout at you too much at that level because you know what you've kind of done wrong, don't you? But I think England is going to be an interesting one. And the Italians have surprised everyone this year. Yeah. By the way they play. Chiellini's been injured. The defender, I love him. Absolutely love him as a player. One of my favourite defenders to watch. When he makes a tackle, it's like he's scored. That's how the Italians kind of playing at the minute. The 30, I think it's 30 games undefeated, the Italians. I didn't even know that before coming to tournament. And I watch a lot of Italian football. My mates who are Italian would tell me, said, yeah, these are a team to watch out for. And before the tournament started, I don't think Italy were were favourites, were they?
What do you think about how Calvin Phillips has been playing?
Oh, brilliant. You know what? Good lad. Again, not someone I know personally, but, obviously watched his development as a player. I think he's done everything right so far. I just hope Leeds keep hold of him. That's another big thing, isn't it? Because he's so good and everyone will want him. But just hope he's a Leeds lad. Let's hope he just ties down to another big deal, because they're going to have to, especially after the tournament he's had. We need to get him tied down, because he's influential as well. And I think for kids looking at any players, because I always say, people always look at these stars, the Messis, the Ronaldos. I always say to my little nephew and stuff, have a look at people like Calvin Phillips, look at Modric, people like him. Don't always look at I know these guys are still top players. They're a good one to learn from. Because it's hard to be Ronaldo, isn't it? It's hard to be Messi. But them other players, you can emulate them, the way they play and the styles they play. And Calvin Phillips, I think, will inspire the next generation of Leeds players. And I think you've already seen that, because they've had good results. I think the 23s have had I think they got promoted last year, so they're going to be in the main league as well, which will help as well the development of the players. And Calvin Phillips has been a big part of that. He's been right the way through the I mean, listen, if he stays at Leeds for his whole career, he will become an iconic. He's already a legend. He's already a legend. But if he develops the way he does and he stays at Leeds, and we all hope he does, we wish him the best of luck in the Euros. I mean, I do look out for him quite a lot, I must admit.
He's a class act.
He's a
really classy player.
Yeah, and you know what? He could play for any team, that kid, because of the way he plays. And I don't like saying that because I want to stay at Leeds, but he has got the world at his feet.
If I were him, whilst he can learn off somebody like Bielsa, I'd probably stick it out for then. And then if he goes, as long as he don't go to Man U, I'm not bothered.
Well, no one wants anyone to go to Man U. I mean, Smithy did that and he got stick for it. But Smithy had no options. That was the only option on the table.
Listen, I think about that regular, and I don't like to be a typical Leeds. Alan Smith, if it went and it was finance, fair enough. His mistake was kissing the badge. That was the dagger in the heart.
Yeah, he never kissed that badge, did he?
You don't kiss it. Not if you're a Leeds lad.
No.
If you're not a Leeds lad and you sign from Leeds to somewhere else, like somebody were just moaning the other day. I think one of the players were thinking about going to Galatasaray, which I understand, and I know why Leeds. But he don't know that. He's a foreigner.
Alioski, was it? Alioski, yeah.
But, I mean, Kewell, that's different.
Yeah.
But,
the thing is, for me, I understand why people aren't happy about that, because I still think about them two guys we lost.
Yeah.
And it means a lot in the city, that.
Yeah, it does.
We need to still remember. And I think it's not that the lads forgot about that. They were just a different mindset. You know, Harry was from, he's from Australia. It's a different sometimes mindset when you're not from. Well, I understand why people would think that, but it's difficult. You've got to do what you've got to do.
Yeah, we're getting back to Smithy. I just think it wasn't great. Don't get me wrong, but just when he kissed the badge.
But do you know with Smithy as well? I was really close to Smithy. I was one of his best mates probably at Leeds. I looked out for him because I was a bit older. Smithy didn't have a drink or anything. Had a cup of tea and water. I don't think I've ever seen him have a drink ever. Yeah. But I tell you what, when he played for Leeds,
he gave it everything.
I mean, I remember him playing against Maldini. It was my debut actually. Good debut actually to play against AC Milan. He won 1-0. The Bowyer goal, won it late when it was raining like mad.
Yeah.
But Smithy gave Paolo Maldini, who's one of my favourite players, the hardest night ever. He absolutely bashed him all over the pitch. He was just outstanding. He showed. It was like, wow, this guy gets stuck in, and also he play. And he had an eye for goal as well, Smithy. He probably didn't score the goals.
He worked his socks off for Leeds, and I remember when they got relegated, crying it. And maybe he should have probably just gone, listen, slipped up, but I'm still Leeds, because I've seen him where he's up in gantries at Ellen Road, and that shouldn't happen. He should be able to go support his team.
He should. And I think as well, with what's happened with lockdown, I think people are changing their opinions on certain stuff.
Listen, Alan Smith, all he's got to do is say, yeah, I did make a bit of a mistake. Come on then, lad, you're back in.
Correct. That's how it should be. Listen, I think he's out in America now, Alan. Yeah. And fair play to him, he's probably enjoying his life out in America. So, the thing with my ex-teammates, I never have a go at any of them. Everyone makes their own decisions, their own choices, and that's the same for me, same for everyone else. And if I had the opportunity to go to certain clubs, I probably would say no to a few. But that's just me. Everyone's different, and you can't stop somebody from wanting to get to where they wanted to get to. I mean, Rio Ferdinand, look, for the career he went after Leeds, no one knocks Rio for the career he had, but
Great player.
that was, he's one of the best players I played with. And he was I think me and him worked. Everyone says, the best centre-halves were Woodgate and I'm trying to think who played at that time. And also Woodgate, wasn't it?
Yeah, Woodgate.
So I think to myself, and Dewberry was there, a few others, but I think to myself, when everyone was fit, they always picked me and Rio as two centre-halves. They did. And to me, it was a big thing for me, that. Because I thought to myself, if I'm getting picked ahead of these boys, I'm doing something right. And me and Rio got on really well as a partnership. And we still chat today about that. And he said he was one of the best players I played with.
To be fair, you see, he's not a Leeds lad. He went to Manchester United. But one thing I like about him is he always says one of my favourite times were at Leeds.
Oh,
he loves it, didn't he?
I'm telling you now, if you picked, we had some great nights out. Imagine what it was like in Leeds.
Yeah, they did.
We did. We had a right good time. And, Rio's been through a lot as well with his family and stuff. So, good guy, and he's a good pundit. He speaks well. He understands the game. And that's why I see pundits like Rio, he gets it. And some do, some don't. It's just my own opinion. But I think Rio gets it. He knows he was a top player and he knew how to play the game. And when you listen to him talk, he talks through his own eyes there. And that's what I like. He tells it how he thinks it was. And he was better than most. He could have played anywhere, Rio, and anywhere. He could have went to Real Madrid, Barcelona. I bet he had offers, just like probably Steven Gerrard did. I don't know the ins and outs, but these players must get tapped up all the time. And I think that's the one thing that these Leeds players, we've got some great players at the club. Yeah. We need to get them tied down. We need to keep hold of them because that's the most important thing now.
You're saying he might be going back to work at Ellen Road?
Possibly, I don't know. Like you say, it'd be a joy for me to come back and do something with Leeds. I don't know the ins and outs of what's going on at the minute. Obviously, I'm still waiting for my scan results at the moment. So if I can work with Leeds again, there'd be no one more happy than me. And I've just got to say quickly, I know I'm going on a bit as usual.
No, there's not
just
that.
When I was ill in hospital, Leeds got promoted to the Premier League. Liverpool won the league. And I got a clear scan at that point. There was nothing better than that. I say things come in threes, and that was the three. At that point, I got a clear scan. Leeds won the league. Liverpool won the league. I couldn't want more than that. And that was genuinely, I was probably in tears. It was quite an emotional few weeks when them two clubs got them, when they lifted them cups. It was so emotional for me because I felt part of it. Because them are two clubs. You can say I played for Stoke, I played for all these other clubs, but they're the two clubs that I really cared about.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do, right? This is a challenge for you. See if you can do it. Leeds Liverpool at Ellen Road next year.
Yeah.
I'll pay personally for 4 corporate tickets. You have a meal before the game and that.
Yeah.
And we'll auction them off for 2 supporters, customers, whoever, friends of Bennett's, friends of this podcast, to come to the game with me and you. Do you reckon, Nick? And I promise you, I don't want I'll pay for the tickets.
No, sounds good to me. And like you say, it's listen. It's nice to be nice.
It'll be a nice day out.
Nice day out. Couple of beers.
Saying that, they might want you that day.
The thing is for me, whatever happens with me in the future, I'm happy. I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy my kids are happy, and it's great just to be involved again. Like having this chat, I think everything's been done on Zoom. It has. And thankfully, I've been able to work through a little bit of that. But there's been times when I haven't because of what I've been going through. But now being out, having a chat with you and doing this podcast, it's been great. I've really enjoyed it. I really mean that. And sometimes it comes unexpectedly to you, doesn't it? I didn't think maybe a few months ago we'd be having this conversation, but it's great. I've enjoyed it. You've got a lovely bar situation going on as well. I'm very jealous of that. But no, this looks amazing. So fair play to you for cracking on. And like you say, it was good to hear that you've been through adversity and you've come out the other side. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm going to try my ultimate best.
Yeah, that's it.
And we'll keep the network going. And exactly. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for this opportunity.
Pleasure, mate.
And take care. It's been great to have you.
Spot on. Man. Thanks very much. Cheers. Cheers, guys.